Okay, so boys and girls, today we are working on 8-7. And I know that's a jump ahead. We're going to go back and do the other lessons, but today we're focusing on lines. And so we're going to go through the 3 different types of lines you can have. The first is parallel lines. Parallel lines are lines that are always going to be the same distance apart from one another. They will always be this far apart from each other. Meaning if I extend this line out and I extend this line out forever and ever and ever, they will never touch. They're never going to meet. They're never going to cross each other. The way I write it is this symbol right here. It's a line and a line. They're parallel. You can see I just drew parallel lines to symbolize parallel lines. Easy to remember, huh? Okay, so when I see 2 lines together like this, that means I'm talking about parallel lines. So, for example, if I had this line, A, B, and I had this line, C, oh, that's not a C, C, D. If I drew these lines out forever and ever, did they ever touch? If I kept going on forever and ever and ever, they would never touch. So these are parallel lines. That means I'm going to write this, A, B. Remember to write it. I write the line above it, and I have C, D. And I write the line above it, so I know I'm talking about lines. And I got that from the letter A, B, and from C, D. You could have also written it B, A, or D, C, and it would have worked. Doesn't matter the order of them, just matters that you have them. So, I have the lines, and I'm focusing A, B, and C, D. I'm just reading left to right like normal. What was the symbol for parallel? Draw it in the air. You're right. 2 lines like this. That's how I say they're parallel. Or I could say line AB is parallel to line CD. Either way would work. I just need to be able to recognize that these are for sure parallel. They are never going to touch each other. Okay? The next we're going to learn about is intersecting and perpendicular lines. We're going to focus on perpendicular first. Perpendicular lines, you can see right here. Perpendicular lines are lines that cross each other and form square corners, or what else could we call this? You're right, right angles. If I have right angles, I'm able to draw a perfect square. Then that means I have created perpendicular lines. Okay? The symbol for it is like an upside down T. Why do you think we use this? Well, look. If I covered this part up, don't these look similar to each other? Yeah, they do. I created perpendicular lines just like that. Okay, so that's why we use this symbol. It looks like a perpendicular line. So you can see that I have these perpendicular lines right here. Whoa, went too far. So the way I'd write it is I have the line Q, you can see Q, R, and I have D, E, and I'd write that they're perpendicular to each other just like that. So let's try one over here. So I'm going to draw, let's see. Actually, I'm going to show you a different view. Watch this. Okay, add my lines. Okay, so I have my lines. This one I'm going to label W, X. This one I'm going to label Y and Z. So I have WX as a line. So I'm going to write that, WX. And what do I put above it to show that it's a line? Oh yeah, that's right. I just draw a line. I'm going to leave a space. Then I have the lines Y and Z. So I write Y and Z. And how do I make sure people know I'm talking about a line? You're right. I draw a line above it. Okay. What was the sign for perpendicular? Because look, I can draw a square there, can draw a square there, draw a square there, draw a square there, and it makes an even bigger square. So these are perpendicular lines. What was the sign for it? Remember, it's a straight line down and a straight line across, just like that. Okay? The last one is intersecting. These are lines that cross each other but do not create those right angles. If you look, I have an obtuse angle and an obtuse. And then if you look right here, I have an acute and acute. So they create acute and obtuse angles within it. So what I need for this one, there is, oops, I put the wrong one here. Whoopsie daisy. Okay, there's no symbol for intersecting lines. So if I had intersecting lines, I would have to do, there's that line, and let's do this. So I have LN, and I have NO. So I have the line LM, and then I have the line NO, and these intersect. I actually have to write them out. For now, I don't care if you don't know how to write it out. I'm fine. As long as you can tell me that it's intersecting lines, I am good with it. So, as a quick review, parallel lines look like this. They're never going to touch. Perpendicular lines look like this, and they form a 90-degree angle. Intersecting lines look like this. They form obtuse and acute angles. It's almost like a circle instead of a square. Okay? Let's do some practice. So, I have two images on here. I want you to focus on this first image first. What type of lines are they? Intersecting, parallel, or perpendicular? You're right. If you said intersecting, because they form, if you look, this is an acute angle, this is an obtuse angle. Okay? So these are intersecting because they wouldn't be parallel because they touched, right? They wouldn't be perpendicular because there's no 90-degree angle or right angle in there. Okay? So let's look at this next one. Right here. What type of line is this? Is it intersecting, parallel, or perpendicular? You're right. They are parallel. Remember, the sign for parallel is two lines together, just like this. It looks like parallel lines. Watch If I extended this line woo, all the way across the page, and I extended this line woo, all the way across the page, did they ever touch? No, they didn't. That's what makes them parallel. Parallel lines are never going to touch each other. If you look, a way that I remember is these two L's right there. I'm going to make that. These two L's look like parallel lines. So I remember parallel lines have parallel lines within the word parallel. That's one trick I use to remember. Okay, now take a look at this figure right here. What type is this? Intersecting, parallel, or perpendicular? You're right. These are perpendicular. They're not parallel because they touched each other. They're not intersecting because they made a 90-degree angle or a right angle. So because of that, it automatically makes it perpendicular. And you can see perpendicular has the perpendicular lines in it. So that's why we use that as the example. Okay, take a look at this one right here. What type is this? Is it going to be intersecting, parallel, or perpendicular? You're right. It is parallel. Like before, if I extended these up and out across the whole page, did they ever touch? No, they didn't. So, they are parallel lines. Okay, what is this one? Right here. I guess I'll put it underneath. What's that one right there? Is it intersecting, parallel, or perpendicular? It is parallel. Remember, this means parallel right here. They are parallel. Like before, if I extended it out, woo, all the way, and extend this one out, woo. Did they ever touch? No, they didn't. So they are parallel lines. Okay, take a look at that one. What are they? You are correct if you said they were perpendicular. They created a 90-degree angle. Perpendicular lines will always create this 90-degree angle or the right angle. See why it's so important to know the angle types? Okay. What is this one? Is it intersecting, parallel, or perpendicular? You're right. It is intersecting. You can see obtuse angle, acute angle, acute angle. Are there any right angles? No, there aren't. And they crossed each other, so it can't be parallel, which makes it intersecting. Okay, last one. What's this one? You're right. It is perpendicular. It's perpendicular because they did cross. They crossed right here. They touched each other. So that means it's automatically not parallel. And since there is a 90-degree angle, it makes it perpendicular. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. If you have questions about this, let me know. But real fast as a review, parallel lines are lines that will never touch. Perpendicular are lines that touch. They met right here. They're lines that touch, but they create 90-degree angles. Intersecting lines are like this, where they touch, but they did not make 90-degree angles, so that makes it intersecting. If you see, it has an acute angle, two acute, and two obtuse angles. Thanks, guys. Let me know if you need help. Bye.